This brunch gives us the clarion call to move forward by inspiring our youth. Without a doubt, this theme gives voice to the urgency of motivating and preparing our youth for the vital role they will play in the future of our global community. It is a worthwhile and essential task, but how are we going to do it? How can we continue to inspire our youth when we live in a culture that constantly tries to disengage and distract them from what's important and essential to their and our futures? How can we inspire our youth when college tuitions are rising and access to capital to pay for that tuition is dwindling? You know, it was just reported this past week that student loan debt has reached an all-time high of $1 trillion. How can we inspire our youth? How can we inspire our youth when, even when you graduate from college, you face a horrific job market that may force them to work on a job with minimal pay and has nothing to do with their career goals? How can we inspire our youth when the prison industrial complex has created the cradle-to-prison pipeline in order to make sure that their jails stay filled while their pockets get filled as well? How can we inspire our youth when you can be deemed suspicious just for wearing a hoodie and be shot down in cold blood when the most dangerous thing you have on you is a pack of Skittles and an iced tea? And not only that, the one who killed him was never brought to justice as of yet. And yet we are called to inspire our youth. How can we inspire our youth when they are inundated with images and messages that push them to consume and indulge instead of build and create? How can we inspire our youth? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked it on today. And if you just give me a couple of moments, I'm going to give you my humble and almost simplistic answer to that. Because if we're going to inspire our youth, then we're going to have to shift their consciousness. We're going to have to shift their way of thinking and shift how they see the world. I remember when I was 6, my grandmother and aunt took me to Disney World. And as we went to Disney World, I remember seeing the castle that was in Disney World. Now, don't act like you've never been to Disney World. And I remember 6 looking at this castle, and it was just the most the hugest thing I've seen in my life. This august and austere castle stood right there, and it just seemed huge to me. Well, 25 years later, I took my daughter to Disney World because I wanted her to experience that same awe that I had when I was a child. So as we walked through the gate, castle started coming into view. And I noticed at that moment, the castle that was large to me when I was 6 wasn't that large anymore. In fact, it was kind of small. It was the same castle, but my perspective had changed due to my growth. And if we can start shifting our young people's perspective early, then as they grow, they will start to see and experience life differently. One of the first shifts that we can focus on in this whole notion of success is to help them redefine success. Somebody say redefine success. For some reason, our youth, and those of us who are youthful in mind and not in body, have brought into this idea that success is defined by how much material wealth we can accumulate. We have been captivated by the entertainers and athletes as we see them living lavish lifestyles. And like carrots put before a horse, we begin to long for and chase a dream based not upon authentic desire, but based on selfish greed and materialistic wealth. So therefore, success is not defined by how we serve one another, nor is it defined by how we can gain intellectual prowess, but is defined by how much stuff we have. And in an effort to gain that kind of success, many youth believe that the only way to get there is by putting a ball or a mic in their hand, or by provocatively dressing so that you can attract someone with a ball or mic in their hands. And somehow we have to get the point across that success is not merely how much money you make, or what kind of clothes you wear, or what kind of car you drive, but it's defined by the impact you have on someone else's life. It is defined by having a peace of mind and healthy relationships. It is defined by being a holistic person. I know plenty of people with a whole lot of money, but no peace. I know plenty of people who climbed up the upper echelons of life in society, but have had to medicate themselves because no matter how much fame and success they have, they are missing the essential qualities and relationships that make life really worth living. What is success? Success is defined by how we give ourselves to others. This is why we celebrate the founders of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, because they believed that sororities were missing their core principles. And your five pearls did not want to perpetuate exclusion, but wanted to be of service to someone else. And they made service the center of everything that they did. So I salute you for continuing that legacy of looking beyond yourselves to see how you can be of service to someone else. And if we are to shift the perspective of our young people, we have to help them redefine success. And not only that, we also have to help them reverse their sense of entitlement. Somebody say reverse their sense of self-entitlement. For some reason, many of our young people see no need for struggle, no need for waiting, and no need for hard work, because they are under the delusion that everything is just supposed to happen for them. They have what I call, and what many call, the microwave mentality. Now, I'm not a cook, but I've tasted good cooking. And the best cooking that I had never came out of a microwave. The best cooking that I've tasted had to spend some time in the oven and had to really heat up so that those flavors and seasonings can really settle. And if you want to experience anything good in life, it's not going to happen instantaneously, but it's going to take some struggle. It's going to take a fight. I remember being young, we had to go to the store. If we wanted music, we had to go to the store and get a CD or a record. Don't look at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Some people who are a little older remember an 8-track. And if you listen to that first song and really liked it, you couldn't just go back and play it over again. You had to wait for on somebody until the whole 8-track played, until you could get back to the beginning. But now, if you want music, you don't have to go to the store. You can pull out your phone, and within a couple of seconds, that song is right there at your hand. They don't have to wait anymore. And the problem is that same mentality has now crept into their everyday living, where they no longer see the need to fight or struggle or wait for anything. They want what they want when they want it. I remember speaking to a young man. I asked him, he went to the church, and I said, what do you want to be when you get older? And he said, a typical answer, a basketball player. I said, all right. I said, okay, so what team do you play on? He said, I don't play on any particular team. I said, okay, all right, so how often do you go to the court and practice your jump shot and your foul shooting? He said, oh, I don't practice my jump shot or any of that. I said, okay, so what are you doing to prepare for being a professional basketball player? He said, well, I go to the park sometimes and play a couple of games. No sense of work ethic, meaning how are you going to make it to the NBA and you don't practice the craft that you want to perfect? It wasn't just him, but many of our young people think that whatever they want is just going to happen. No, it takes work, it takes commitment, and it takes practice. Zora Neale Hurston, in her autobiography, Dust Tracks on a Road, spoke of her mother. And she said her mother instilled in all of her children this whole idea of jumping at the sun. She said, whatever you do, whatever you strive for in life, jump at the sun. You may not land on it, but at least you'll get off the ground. And when we talk to our young people, we have to instill that in them. to continue to jump at the sun. When it comes to school, jump at the sun. When it comes to extracurricular activities, jump at the sun. When it comes to planning your future, jump at the sun. When it comes to understanding who you are and realizing what you are capable of, don't just stand on the ground and wait for it to happen, but jump at the sun, reach for the highest, do your best, and you can do it. So we have to reverse that whole idea of entitlement. No, it takes some work. And lastly, then I'm going to take my seat, lest we think that it's all their fault, we have to take some ownership ourselves. And we have to revolutionize our sincerity. I'm going to say that again because somebody needs to hear that. We need to revolutionize our sincerity. I'm sick of fake folk. I know I'm not in church, but I know I can get an amen on that. People who act like they've been holy all their lives and they've done everything right. I'm tired of fake folk. And the truth is, our young people are tired of fake folk. If you were to really be honest and tell about your past, you can say that you've messed up, you've made some mistakes, you haven't done everything perfectly, but thanks be to God for His grace and mercy. God, forgive me when I felt that one. You made it thus far. And when we try to perpetuate this whole sense that we've been perfect to our young people, then they get frustrated because they think that what they're facing is so new, and that if we've done everything right, then what are they doing wrong? No, we have to be sincere with them and let them know the same thing you're